Hello everybody, this is Solar Tiger with another aquarium video. As you've seen this before, this is my Betta aquarium. It's 24 litres, which is approximately 5 gallons. And I've changed the filter I was using. I was using a hang on the side filter, which, although it worked fine, had one major problem, which was that if the power failed for any reason, or I switched it off, when I turned it back on again, it would not restart, because the filter required priming to get it to work again. This means you need to fill the filter with water after turning it on so that it would work properly. Now obviously, if the power failed when I was not around, then I would not be there to prime it in order to get it to run. So the filter would be out of service until I returned, which is not a good issue because that could be several hours. Also, the pump motor gets hot when there's no water flowing through the filter. So what I've done is I've now changed to a different filter. So what I have now is a simple air-driven box filter that I had in my aquarium equipment collection. So this is basically just a plastic box with an airlift in it. It has a top plate that has slits in it. And how it works is that water is drawn in the top of the box where the slits are, travels down through the filter media, and at the bottom of the filter there's a raised grate that allows water to pass through, and the only way that the water can escape is by going up the central uplift tube. At the bottom of the uplift tube there's an air stone that's connected to an air pump, and that's what powers the filter. So as the air bubbles rise up the uplift tube, they suck the water along with the air bubbles, and that creates a lower pressure inside the filter, and water is then sucked in through the slits on the top. The water travels down through the media. I got filter sponge, filter floss and ceramic media, which is a biological media. Water passes through all of these medias and then exits via the uplift tube. So how it works is very simple. Now the downsides of these filters is that you need to have an air pump to run them, and traditionally air pumps were of the electromagnetic variety. They have a coil inside connected to the main supply and a magnet on the end of an arm that's connected to a diaphragm, and when the pump is plugged in, the magnetism from the coil causes the arm to vibrate, and that makes the diaphragm pump the air through. The only problem with these air pumps is that they are very noisy, and since my aquarium is in my bedroom, noise was a definite no-no. But what I have is I have an air pump. This is the Nano Q1 by Rosewood, and this pump is very quiet. It's actually running now at this moment in time, and you can hear virtually nothing. This is because this is a piezo air pump, and piezo air pumps are very, very quiet, which is good when you have them in a bedroom. They're recently new technology in air pumps, but you can find them on Amazon and eBay. I bought this example from a Wilkinson's hardware store. But this thing is great because it is virtually silent, so that's what's driving my filter. Between the air pump and the filter there is a non-return valve to stop any water siphoning out of the tank if the air pump should stop for any reason. That's just a precaution. So the downsides of air-driven filters is, one, you need an air pump, and as I said, traditional air pumps are very noisy. But I have a piezo air pump to drive mine, and it's very quiet. The other issues are, well, they take up space in your tank. They don't look very pretty, but I'm not too bothered about that. And to do maintenance on them, you need to remove them from the tank. But since you do maintenance every couple of weeks, I can live with that. As far as looks go, I don't mind too much. So that's that. This is my Betta's tank. It is pretty simply laid out. The substrate is just plain aquarium gravel, about 1 inch of that. And I have live plants in my tank because I like live plants, although you might use silk or plastic plants. These are fine as long as they are soft and not have any sharp parts on, because they can harm your betta. I have a big rock for the betta to hide behind if it wants to, and just to add some interest. And the live plants I have this is Lowigia. Now it does like highlight, and then the leaves turn red, but I don't have highlight in this tank, and it grows okay. I have some Rotala, that's this very fine leaf thing, and I'm surprised at how well it grows under the lighting conditions I have in this tank. I use virtually no fertilizers and no liquid carbon and no fancy light bulbs, and it seems to grow okay. That actually did surprise me. I've got some Java fern, which is just wedged into a flower pot. And Java fern is pretty hardy. It grows under most conditions, even very low light and no fertilizers. It grows okay. These are actually just offshoots from the one that's in my main tank. So Java fern likes to be tied to rocks or wood, and it does not like its roots buried in the gravel. They will rot off and die. I have at the back there's some twisted Vallisneria, and it grows okay. It likes higher lights and fertilizers, which I have in my main tank. On the top I have Anacaris, which I just have floating around, and the plant with the large round leaves is Pennywort, and I just have that floating as well. The Anacaris actually grows reasonably quickly. After a couple of weeks you will be pulling some out just to throw it away because it grows a lot. I have it in here because it helps to absorb the nitrates from the water, so it's functional as well. But after a couple of weeks you'll find yourself needing to pull some out and throw it away. Now in the back there's a 25-watt heater, and the light is an 11-watt fluorescent desk lamp with whichever type tube that it came with. I think it's just a sort of cool white tube. There's nothing complicated in it or fancy. I do have issues with algae in this tank. Because of the light, then the algae keeps growing, so I have to keep pulling it out. So I just used a bamboo skewer and twirl it round and tease it out of the plants. But that's what I do. I change the water twice a week, about 20 to 30%, and this is the tank that my betta lives in. It just sits on my workbench, and that's how that works. My betta is up the top here. He's just hanging about in the plants. Now it is past my betta's bedtime. It is gone 11 PM now, and I normally have the light on a timer between 4 o'clock and 10 PM. So that's that. Between 4 and 10. It's about 6 hours, I believe. You need to limit the light period for your plants, and obviously your fish needs to sleep. So normally my betta would have had lights out at around 10 PM. So it's past his bedtime. But I'm trying to make a video. That's also why I don't have the actual light on. So I'm making this video from the LED light that's on the front of my iPod, because I'm making this video using my iPod. So if you're wondering why the lighting is not very good, it's because it's at 11 o'clock at night. So anyway, this is a update on my betta tank. I'd like to thank you for watching, and if you like my video, please comment down below and click subscribe. And until next time, this is Solar Tiger saying goodbye. See you next time.